ARUtils for Revit suite. ARLegend can be found in the notes section of ARUtils, and if it's not already on top, we can go down and select ARLegend. This brings up the ARLegend Creator dialog, and we'll go through that in a moment. But for now, we'll just have a look at the sort of output that ARLegend can produce. As you can see, we've got what in Australia is known as a door or window schedule, and we have elevational views of those items, although they could be plan views. We have dimensions associated with them, and we also have information placed under each of those items. Now, this can of course all be done manually, but it's a painful process, and as extra doors are added, regenerating or ensuring that your information is up to date is quite a time-consuming process. So all of the information here has been generated from data stored within the Revit model. Let's go through the process of creating a door schedule using ARLegend. Step 1 is to create a new legend view. So we'll say new legend, and we'll call it new doors template. We set the scale and we go OK. Now, it's important that we have template as part of the name. The next step is to place some of our items, or place an item which is going to be used as the basis for our schedule. We'll create both an elevational item as well as a piece of text. So if we go to families and doors, we'll just drag a door into this area. We'll say that we want elevation front, and we'll place it there. Now, the other thing we need to do is just place a piece of text. This piece of text will be replaced whenever we run the ARLegend routine. So we can just say sample, and we've now effectively created our set out for generating schedules using ARLegend. Okay, so now what we want to do is actually generate a new schedule using this particular new doors template. So we click on ARLegend, and the only thing we need to change at this point is the doors template to be new doors template. Basically, any legend view that has template as part of its name will appear in this particular dialog. If we now hit create, we get a message saying that 6 items have been placed. It's worked out an optimal value based on whether we've got dimensions, how many parameters we have underneath each item. So we'll just say yes to update the Y spacing, and we can hit create again, and it will just generate it using those values. And this time we don't get the message about updating the parameters. Okay, so all of this information has been drawn directly from the Revit database. If we changed information about the door material, then it would be updated in this location next time we run the ARLegend command. Let's go through more of the interface for ARLegend. So in our interface, we've got basically a control file. That's an Excel file. It might be located in a central network location, or it might be located within a project folder. Within that, we have a number of templates. So we've got one for doors and another one for walls. If we wanted to create a new legend template as such, we could hit new, and that would create a new entry in our Excel file. Okay. Under legend contents, you've already seen how we've picked the particular template view to be used. So we've got doors template and new doors template and new doors template showing here. Under the legend type, we've got various categories from within Revit that we may want to generate a schedule from. And this is where the terminology of legend and schedule gets a bit mixed up, but we'll assume that they're the same in this case. We then also have the option of how we want the items to be sorted, and the list here depends on the parameters that we've chosen to report on. So you can only sort by one parameter, but that's generally good enough. We then have the option of also picking what parameters we want to be reported on. Now with our parameters, all of the available parameters will appear here. So we can basically transfer parameters between the two columns. We can transfer all of them. We could transfer none of them. And we can also cancel this operation, or we can pick them one by one. Let's go back into that. There are a couple of other parameters that are worth noting. There's count, which will tell you how many times an item has been used within the project, so how many instances there are. And we also have marks. So if your doors have different marks in each instance, which would hopefully be the situation, this will compile all of the marks and give all of the door numbers that a particular item relates to. Okay, so that defines what we're going to see, our content. Down here we specify our spacing in the X direction, so horizontally, and our spacing in the Y direction. So all of the items are spaced equally in X and Y to give a nice consistent gridded view. All items are left-hand justified as such. We can specify how many columns and rows we want to use. This will limit the number of items per page to those figures. So if we have a large number of door types, we, for example, could run over a number of pages. Each page will be created automatically in 2013. In 2012, you actually need to have multiple door template sheets ready for it to move on to the next template sheet. There's a bit of an option down here to say that we'll be placing these items on an A2 sheet, and it will give you an estimate of how many columns and how many rows you could expect to fit on that sized sheet given the figures you've used here. It's just an estimate, but can make it quite a bit easier for you to calculate how many you need. And the final aspect in our legend layout is whether or not we want dimensions. So dimensions will be automatically applied using the length, width and height parameters for a particular item. So if our door is 2100 high, it will try and create a 2100 high door or dimension that matches lines within that particular item. So as you can see over here, the 2100 may be to the underside of the architrave. So ARUtils legend will automatically work out the best lines to associate a dimension with. And you can pick your dimension style and your line style to be used for those dimensions. Now you may be wondering how ARUtils keeps generating these items. Clearly it uses the control file, and if you remember our original setup, then we had a couple of items which it would use to generate this sheet. And all of our text and elevation items are basically set out using those first two items. Now those two items are actually still here, and it's just that they've been hidden, and you can see here we have the elevation item, and there is actually a text item here as well. So if we wanted to change the look of this particular sheet, we may take this text item and drag it over here. Not necessarily something I'd recommend, but we'll do that. We'll close this viewport and we'll go to ARLegend and we'll say create again, and you'll notice we get this message: there are hidden items in this view. Do you wish to regenerate this template? So it knows that our base template items are actually hidden, and this process will delete all of the visible items and regenerate the entire sheet. So we'll just say yes, and hopefully this time our text will be in quite a different spacing and clearly not a great position, but that's how the location of the text is controlled. So let's now change a few parameters or add some extra ones. We'll add in the count, and you can just double click to move them across, and we'll also get the marks put in as well. So we'll go OK. We could change our sorting, but we'll leave it as is, and maybe this time we'll turn dimensions off. Now we will be prompted to update our Y spacing, but we'll hit create. Yes, we'll regenerate. So we've got a new value. We'll say yes, update the Y spacing. And we'll just cancel out of this, because you can see now that our text is still in that dodgy position, but we have the count for that number of doors, for how many instances we have, and we have all of the marks that are associated with those doors. So very quickly and easily we've got an updated schedule just the way we want it. It's been saved, this setup, in a file, so we can always go back to that file, rerun the ARLegend command, and instantly have an up-to-date and correct legend of all our door or window or furniture or electrical equipment items.